Welcome to Good Dates Gone Bad. I'm your host, Lee, and I have a guest today. Meredith, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yay! All right, she's actually going to share a story that's not her own. But tell me, what is a good date to you?
A good date to me would be where you can actually talk and not being in the movies.
Yes, the movies. That's true.
I would say don't do anything that's going to put too much pressure on you, like a dinner on the first date. I don't think people like to do that anymore. I think it should be, a nice little lunch or a nice happy hour.
People don't like to go to dinner?
No.
They like to go have just cocktails?
Yeah, like have a cocktail, that way you each can relax a little bit and then unwind. And then if the happy hour is going well, then maybe think about, hey, you want to grab dinner, but don't
then you can
start
order an
with
appetizer.
Dinner. Yeah, don't start with dinner. And then, because I just read a thing about bad dates this morning online on BuzzFeed, and they were half of them were like, they wanted to go to dinner and they ordered the most expensive thing on the menu.
I actually know girls like that. They're not my friends, but I know girls like that. That's how they roll. They would expect the man to pay for lavish drinks and glasses of wine, and they would order the biggest bottle, of wine, or order like the fanciest cocktail, and try to get like some guys get those shots of whiskey that is like $250, whatever. It's crazy. They would do that, and they would get the biggest thing and barely eat it, and guys hate that, right?
Yeah. Oh, well, it can go for girls too. I mean, what if he's expecting you to have this date, and then he orders the bourbon, the fancy bourbon, and orders the tomahawk steak or something, and then they're having to have that because she's not as maybe expecting that. But I think that it says a lot, when you're going to dinner, what you order. And even though someone else is paying, you're not supposed to take advantage of it. And I feel like that's when it's going to be a deal breaker. At least if you're having a couple of drinks, you can see if your date can hold their alcohol before y'all take it any further.
Yeah, but sometimes eating, you're right. But sometimes, that's a match that way too.
Right.
Eating is awkward anyway. I mean... it's
don't
hard.
Get pasta. I would say also don't go where you're gonna have pasta.
Just slurping it, and it's getting all over your clothes.
And your chin, next thing you know, has no makeup.
Yeah, you're right, because you're constantly going
Dotting.
like this. Yeah. You're right. So now what about a bad date? So all those things that could go flip
part
side?
of that goes into it. I would say a bad date would probably be one where the parents might show up, or he lives with his parents, they live with their parents, and then you're not expecting that, and you're like, wait, I thought we were just...
True.
I thought we were just I don't even know who you are. I would say a bad date too would be going to somebody's house, right off the bat, that you don't know, because it could be very unsafe,
presumptuous.
But it could be unsafe.
Yes.
And you, as a female, you want to make sure that you're meeting in public, and at least let your friends know where you are, and look for a safe word when it's done. But I would say a bad date would probably be.
The bad date would be if something happened at that house.
Well, I mean, for sure, it'd be any bad day. But I meant, to start off the bat with going to maybe someplace. Maybe there's a party at somebody else's house that's you just don't know all these people, and you're meeting all his friends or her friends, and you don't know anybody, and you feel very awkward. Or it's in a place that's messy, and maybe you're all dressed up in heels or something, and you're like, I wasn't prepared for this environment. Would be a bad date.
That is true. I've actually been invited to do things with a guy on a date, and it would be, one guy invited me to go to a wedding, his best friend's wedding. I'm thinking, that's the strangest first date ever. I mean, don't you think? But then, so you don't want to outshine the bride, but who's going to be there? And I got to look good on this date, but you're not going to be, you don't. So that, to me, I've been invited even to go, one of my pet peeves is to be invited on a date. Like you're saying, you don't know what to wear, right? And he invites you to go do something, but you're thinking, okay, we've got a series of things that we're doing. Am I supposed to be changing at your house? How do I go from hiking in North Georgia mountains to like a fancy dinner. Like that's all great and good, but I got to get ready, you know, and I can't.
Yeah, I would say a bad date is also one you're leading into it, but one that is never ending. I feel like it. You know, there should be a cutoff time for your first date. You don't want to spend too much time with somebody, and then you take.
And then they never go home.
Right. So you want to cut it off so that way they want to see you again. Like, you don't want to show them all sides of yourself on a first date.
Right.
You want to show your best side on a first
Especially the
date.
bad side.
You want to show the best side.
Yeah.
And if the date drags on and if you're drinking, it can get a little too much alcohol. And I've been in that situation.
And then you do things
before.
that you normally wouldn't do, right? You're going to end up in a situation
or you'll
that
say
you have planned.
things. Maybe you're an emotional drinker and you start crying about something. You want to kind of
Talking about your ex-boyfriend.
Right. You want to have a cutoff whether you have to make up some excuse about a work thing the next day or whatever. And that brings me to another point. I would say your first date should not be on the weekend. I used to have a friend and she really loved to get on online dating and do that, but she would get so mad if a guy was trying to plan something with her on a Friday or Saturday, because she'd be like, you know, I don't know if it's going to be a good date or anything, and I'm not going to have you waste my weekend when I could be hanging out with my friends. So I would say keep your date to a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, and then leave the weekends to whenever you actually know you like this person.
Yes, that's true. So you have a story to share, and I can't wait to hear it.
Yes. Well, this is not me, and it's a friend. It's a friend of mine, and call her Jennifer. So she got set up through a matchmaking company. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever tried one of those. Have you tried one of those?
But I have barely been on Match.com or there was another one that...
Hinge?
No. There was another
Tinder.
one. It was the one that's supposed to be Christian sweet.
eHarmony?
eHarmony. And you go through
Lord.
a series. By the
Oh
time
my gosh. One time I tried to sign up for eHarmony and it told me, we have no matches for you.
that's hilarious.
Okay, back to the matchmaking. So she signed up for this matchmaking company, and I didn't even know she was going on this date. But at the time, she had moved from Georgia and was living in a state out west. I'm not going to say what state, but she was living in a state out west. So I think the matchmaking company
Let's call it Colorado.
Sure. I think the matchmaking company was one of those. So the matchmaking company was in Georgia, and next thing I know, like, I'm seeing a post from her on Facebook, and she's at the Masters. So this is around the time of April, obviously, when the Masters are happening in Augusta. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing? Where are you staying? You know, we're messaging through that. And she said, well, I'm actually on this blind date, and we're at the Masters. She's like, well, we have a hotel in Buckhead. I said, well, when you get back to Buckhead, whatever, let's meet up.
That's a long day. It's 2 hours to get there, 2 hours to get back, and a lot of day drinking and some hot stuff.
But just sit tight, just wait. So she had, he flew her from that state back to Georgia, paid for her to have a separate hotel from him. So, you know, that would be another bad date if you're expected to share a hotel room with a guy, you know, you just met. No. A bad date would be as if you had to share a room with this guy.
Yes,
I'd be like, I'll pay for my own room.
Yeah, don't fly me into town to...
Exactly, 'cause I don't know who you are. So
same page.
But remember, keep in mind, like, this is through a matchmaking company. They're supposed to vet you. They're, you know, supposed to do these background checks and things like that. But
do they do mental health?
I don't think so. But I don't think that happened. But so I meet up with her. So the next morning, she's like, let's do brunch. So she's back in town. And I'm like, okay, I'll pick you up, you know, Buckhead, not far from me. And I'm like, yeah, let's go to lunch. And I was not prepared for what was about to be told me about this date. I was not prepared. It is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And it's similar to your story you were telling about poopy pants. But
I found out that was also another person had that same situation. And it was a female.
Okay, well, this was still the
That's
dude.
not as uncommon as we think.
So my friend has some nieces and nephews. So when she's at the Masters, she's buying these things, you know, just an additional layer. That she's buying souvenirs. And she is and I don't know if you've ever been to the Masters. I haven't, but you know how any event is jacked up, like price wise. Like things are expensive. I mean,
sure.
Like the souvenirs and the braids, anything you go to is extra money, right?
Yes.
Well, at some point turns out this date that she got set up with from this from this
yeah
from this matchmaking company. Found out that dude pooped his pants while they at
what?
the master.
Oh, he left? He left her there or something?
I wish he would have,
Well,
but no, he didn't. So here's what happened. So
he didn't.
They're walking
Professor
around.
Poopy Pants stayed there.
They're walking around, and all of a sudden she's smelling things, and he's like, "Oh, I think I stepped in something." On my shoe. So he says it's that. He runs to the bathroom and he's gone a while. She's just waiting and she sees these guys come out and like, oh dude, oh man, like these guys are just making these comments and they pass by him on the way in like, oh shit dude, you know, like this. And she's like, what the hell? I think this guy pooped his pants. Turns out like she found out from one of the guys that comes out there like, what's happening? He had pooped his pants. His stuff was all over the bathroom floor. He was trying to clean himself up in the bathroom. And then he comes back out like and you're very logical to say, there's clothes to wear. Just ask her to please pick him up some pants, bring them back in there. But no. He puts the same clothes back on. Maybe he threw his underwear. I don't know. Hope to God. But it still had gotten in his pants, and he comes out with one of the shirts wrapped around his waist, like a jacket, but she was like, you could still smell, you know, like that smell.
Oh my God.
And she didn't want to embarrass him, so she's trying to play it off as, you know, she's like, I'm smelling something. Did you step, you know? And he's like, yeah, I stepped in something on walking around like the grounds. It must have been some dog poop or something like that. But they have to drive back to Atlanta in the same car. She said, Meredith, I have my window cracked. My face is out the window. It is so bad. It smells so bad. I'm just, you know, I was just getting drunk while we were at this thing because it just was terrible. And I'm just on the way back. And I'm just hanging out the window. And she's like, this guy then, you know, like to try to act like it didn't happen. I'm just like, I can't believe I'm having to ride 2 hours back to the city, you know, and everything. So this is why we're at brunch. She's telling me all this. And I was like, well, what do you want me to do? She's like, I want you to get me out of it. So she's like, I'm supposed to.
How do you get out of that?
She's like, I'm supposed to go to dinner with him tonight and I don't want to. Well, my friend at the time was suffering a loss, so she was drinking more than normal. So I was driving and, you know, I was, you know, trying to be there for her. So she's proceeding to get, you know, a lot of drinks, like brunch. And then we get back to the, hotel and we go down to the lobby and we have some more drinks and, you know, have a little bit of food. But by the time we go back upstairs, like she passes out in the room. So she's passed out and sleeping. He's blowing up her phone. He's 2 doors down. So I say, can you meet with me? I'm her friend.
Sounds like he needs to end the day. Let me just say, and I don't mean to interrupt, but it sounds like he needs to come to terms with what the hell is going on with him. If he's got IBS or some problem, he can't control his sphincter, whatever the hell the problem is, he needs to stop. Like if I poop my pants on a date, I'd be like, okay, I really need to be up. I would be first of all, you have your phone on you all the time. I would text my date and say, something's come up, give me a minute, stay put. I will meet you in just a minute. Or why don't you delay and say, why don't you go over to the...
But this is the next day, remember? But here's
I'm saying the day of, I would be like, I'm going to the gift shop.
But they didn't see each other anymore that night, okay? But the thing is, he lives in town. So he lives in Alpharetta.
I mean, try to save face somehow.
He lives in Alpharetta. And so he had his car, right? And she didn't because she had, you know, coming up from the airplane. So she didn't have her car there. It was I was like hanging out with her at the hotel. Well, she's getting, you know, she wants out of it, right? I mean, she's not interested in this guy. Like, nothing's going to happen. So so I get in touch with him because he's blowing up her phone because they're supposed to have dinner reservations. I was like, hey, dude, Like, I find his room number. I go knock on his door, and I'm like, she's not going to make dinner. Like, she's asleep right now. Like, you know, she is passed out asleep. She doesn't want to go on this
What a
date.
weird, just so weird.
And he is like...
My skin is crawling right now. And this
he is pissed. He starts going off on me, and he tells me, I spent $10,000 on this date and this Masters and liner here. I said, no one told you to do that, dude, for a first date. Ding, ding, ding. That's a first date.
Right.
No one told you to
He
spend
made a
$10,000 on someone you don't know. I was like, and she doesn't want to go out with you. There's nothing there. Well, I thought there was something there. It's like, no, dude, there's nothing there. He said, well, I have all of her stuff and I'm not giving it back.
What?
Yeah, all the stuff she bought for her relatives. He's like, well, I'm not giving it back till she reimburses me.
That is so jacked up.
I'm like, so then I'm getting mad. I'm like, oh, yes, you are. I was like, yes, you are. She paid with her money this stuff. Like, this is for her relatives, like her nieces and nephews. You're giving it back to her. You're not holding it hostage till she pays you back. I was like, that's not fair. It's just live and learn, essentially. So finally, I'm like, just stay tuned. So I go back into the room. She's starting to wake up. You know, she's like waking up from a, drunk sleep or whatever. And I'm like, telling her what was happening. She's getting mad because he's holding the gift she bought for everyone hostage. And so I bring
that's not right.
I was like, let's have a sit down. So I'm in the legal field, and I was like, I can be the mediator here.
This is like Legally Blonde. Mens rea. With mens rea.
I was like, I'll be the mediator here. Like let's just act like an adult and work this out, because this guy's like in his 50s-ish. Like, he's old enough. He had been married before and divorced.
It's clear that
But it turned out later, like, I think he
had
had a traumatic brain injury before, so I think that says, like, part of the issues with all this. But, they didn't warn her about any of this from the dating service, right? You're trusting them to vet things, and that you're not going out with a complete weirdo.
Sure.
So so I get them in the room together finally. Like, my friend, I get a shower or whatever, get all presentable, and then I'm like, he comes in, I'm like, okay, cancel. He's like, well, I said, cancel the reservations. I was like, she is not going to dinner with you.
No.
She doesn't want to. You can see she's had a lot. She's been going through things and her own, personal issue that she had.
But hold up. Let's be real here. Let's talk about the damn white elephant poopy pants in the room.
Poopy pants. That's what we call them all the time.
Okay, so would you expect someone to be cool that, it's cool, you just shit yourself? No, seriously, dude. You just crapped your pants. Why is that cool? Why is that okay? That's
because
not
he didn't
okay.
think she realized it.
And it's not cool that you subject someone to that. And if it were happened to me, God forbid that ever happened to me. That's why I said if I was in the bathroom, I'd be telling them, just stay where you are. I would literally,
Exactly.
I would run in.
I'll get you an Uber home.
I'd be stinking up the gift shop, but my ass would be walking through the gift shop and getting a pair of shorts.
Instead of getting in the car with her
and then
go
in the bathroom and throw those away, clean myself up. I would handle it so differently because I would be absolutely traumatized knowing that someone found out that I just pooped my pants, and I wouldn't subject them to that. That's wrong. That's really wrong. That's not cool at all.
So we're all sitting there in the room, the three of us, and he's sitting there, well, I don't think I should give her stuff back. I said, yes, you are. He said, talk about how much she paid. He wanted her reimbursement. I said, that is not cool.
He sucks.
I said, that is not cool at all. I was like, she didn't ask you to invite her to the Masters.
I think it's funny that you're the attorney and he didn't know. He
I know.
was the wrong lady.
I know. I was like, listen.
Oh, hell no.
I was like, no one told you to take your first date to the Masters and spend $10,000.
Right.
No one told you to fly her here. You could have flown where she was and found a restaurant there and met her and then flown back instead of like wasting all that time. And no one told you to do that. And finally, I got it through his head. I was like, let's exchange information. You'll get her address, because he had been actually home that day and had her stuff and took it to his house. He didn't even have it in the hotel room anymore. So not only did he take the stuff that she bought, He brought it to his personal residence as to hold it hostage, didn't have it in the hotel room. And I was like, you will be sending this to her, so let's exchange information now.
Yes.
I was like, and she's not going to reimburse you, but she's not having dinner with you tonight. She's going to hang out in her hotel room, then she's flying back home tomorrow.
And she needs to sanitize everything. Because it sounds like the guy is a very unclean, nasty person.
In a matchmaking business service, so they call her, and I don't know how many
I would
days,
be like, let me tell you what this fool did.
So they call, and I wish my friend could tell part of this because at the time, and this was a couple years ago.
Well, clearly there was some time there where she couldn't communicate. So thank God you were there.
But I wish she could tell it, because at the time when I know I'm missing some things, because at the time it happened, I've never laughed so hard, I don't think, in my life, like the whole situation, because the conversation with the matchmaking company was gold.
Priceless.
So she
what did they say? What was their excuse?
The lady goes, well, hey, Jennifer, I'm just trying to see, how was your date? And she said,
OMG.
She goes, my date pooped his pants. And
please put this on record.
And the lady said it was just dead silence. Just dead silence.
Obviously had money.
The lady goes, come again. She's like, I've never heard anything like it in my life. She said, I'm so sorry on behalf. We vetted him, I swear. She's apologizing for the matchmaking company. She's like, I vetted him. And
clearly not enough.
And she said, my friend was like, I think, it's mentioned he had some type of prior accident or something. She's like, yeah, but I didn't realize he was not suitable for presenting for dates, because he was high up in whatever company it was. But obviously he had some lingering, because he had been married for 20 something years. So overall, I'm like, it was a lot of baggage there. But needless to say, they called her, and they made sure that, and they called him and said, because I said something about him trying to hold her stuff hostage. And they ensured that the items that my friend bought were returned to her.
That's good. So there was no happy ending, but that was the only positive thing about it. My God, that sounds terrible.
Yeah. So yeah,
I know accidents happen, and when you're dating, you have to be flexible enough. You really literally have to leave the house and maybe have one of these just so you can deal with the stupid BS that happens on dates. But
it's also an example of doing too much for a first date.
Yeah.
It's an example of all the red flags.
Yes.
And I think she said that the night before they went to the Masters, they got in town the night before, and I didn't know, but I think the night before it was okay. And I think she said she made out with him some, but it didn't go any further. She just wasn't feeling it. I think she did it just to be nice, because he was taking him to the Masters, and he was spending that money. But right. It didn't go any further. But I was like, because that's why he kept saying to me on the mediation, he kept being like, she's into me. She was into me. And I'm thinking, well, she ain't now. She may have been then, but y'all have heard of the ick.
Sorry, I got the kitty cat.
He wants to join in, but you've heard of the ick factor.
Yeah, the ick.
I think
nobody wants.
I think pooping in the pants constitutes as an ick.
Once you get the ick, though, there's no going back. There's nothing they can say or do. They could give you all the money in the world, and you're like, yeah, but you just pooped your pants, and you subjected me to that.
And the thing was, in the mediation, I didn't, and I never even brought it up. I didn't bring it up. I don't think he did either. It was just so embarrassing. I just didn't want to subject that guy to even further embarrassment. I didn't even bring it up.
He was being such an asshole.
I know, but I just played it off that she's just not that into you. She wants it to end. It's not going to go anywhere. You're not going to have a future. Isn't that right? You're not going to have a future.
That's right.
Stare into the depths of your soul. But you're not going to have a future.
No. Thanks for sharing the story. That was crazy. I as I mentioned, y'all heard me say some things I would have done differently. There are ways that you can actually regain some dignity out of something so terrible that if it happens to you. Look, if I pooped myself,
yeah, but it's
and nobody knew it but me, I could totally regain some dignity. No, because you had separate rooms, you can freshen up and nothing ever new. The better.
You can't get past the 2-hour car ride.
No. But if you had a chance to go to the gift shop and do all that, I'm just saying. But the way he handled himself and the way he handled it and the obligation, I spent 10 grand on you. That's just terrible.
Yeah, but you're not. But
you don't obligate people.
But wait a minute now. But you're not. You tell me that if you did that on a date and embarrassed yourself, that you'd want to redeem yourself. I'd never want to see that person again.
I'm saying if I pooped myself on a date and he didn't know it, and I was in the bathroom where it was all transpiring, then
if he didn't know it, I would end the date early. But I'm saying there's no redeeming quality if they do know it.
If they know it and they subject you to it. That's right. There's no way out of it.
There's no way out of that. I'm saying like if they know it. But yeah, if they don't know it, you're just like, I'm so sorry, I'm not feeling well. I would love to see you again. But like if they know it, then I'm never showing my face again and hope I don't see you either.
Right. Truth.
Hope I never see you again.
Right. Truth. Well, thanks for sharing the story. Sorry the cat's all in the video.
He's like, this is too good.
It is. He's too good. But stay tuned for more Good Dates Gone Bad. Here. Cheers.
Bye.
Yes.
Cheers.
Bye.